This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. We are broadcasting from the Thacker Jewelry Studios. Viewed loose diamonds, custom designs, and more at thackerjewelry.com. I'm Matt Martin. We've got Dave King on the line, as well as Dr. Schovanec, president of Texas Tech University.
Well, I have been. Good morning, Dr. Schovanec. This is Dave.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
I'm surviving.
Yes, I think we all are. And Dave, you're doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Dr. Schovanec, I saw you yesterday on national network television. What a great day for you and for Texas Tech. I didn't get to hear what you said, but I just saw you there.
Well,
How did it go?
I think it went well. What I truly appreciated was the fact that an alum texted me afterwards and said that during that very short segment, Wolf referred to Texas Tech as a great university 3 times. Now, what's that worth? The context of doing this is these aren't the best of circumstances, but I think it was good for Texas Tech. They were interested in the letter I had sent out regarding the phased-in reopening of the campus, and so we had a chance to talk about that.
So are you planning to have the whole campus open by the fall?
So, Matt, when we say a phased-in reopening, we mean that when people come back, it's not going to look the way it was when they left earlier this year.
Right, but they're still coming back.
We'll be offering face-to-face courses. We want there to be activity, for instance, in the residence halls. Now, we have to make a lot of changes. We have to control the population so as to make sure we are enforcing social distancing. We have a whole number of scenarios as to how we're going to modify the manner of instruction. We'll have face-to-face in smaller groups. There will be online. We're referring to some courses as blended. You may have face-to-face one day, online others. We're talking about a concept of semester within semesters, rather than the 15 traditional week. And we already have some courses now, especially over in the Rawls College of Business, that are offered 7-8 week terms. But we're thinking even 3 to 4 weeks, where you might just enroll in one course, a very intense experience for a short period of time. This would give people, students as well as faculty and staff, more flexibility into when they come back. Because there's a lot of anxiety among both students and faculty and staff about making sure that their health is not compromised. And I can assure you we'll proceed with
Yeah.
So
all the
Well, let me ask this. Are you concerned, Dr. Schovanec, about some of there are some real hot spots in the United States, and I'm wondering if you're concerned about students from those areas that will be coming to Tech.
Yeah, naturally we are, Dave. And so the things that we're looking into that would help us, all the tools that we could use would be active testing that's been going on over at our BSL 3 lab. We're trying to acquire some FDA-approved technology that would allow us to do antibody testing, so we would know who had some residual immunity, who's been exposed. And then if there are incidences of where somebody may be tested positive, we'll, of course, continue to do the contact tracing that we've already done, which is done in conjunction with public health officials. But, Dave, I think we have, and I don't say this without a lot of, I understand the issues here, but we have to understand there will be an element of risk, and then we have to do everything we can to make sure we're trying to mitigate that. But we live with risk all the time, and I know this is different. But to your point, yes, those are things we have to be concerned about.
Yeah, so I do want to mention this, Doctor. Well, I did have one quick question. So are y'all going to expand, Texas Tech going to expand their online offerings for the semesters coming up because of this?
So, Matt, you actually raise an important point. What is online versus teaching remotely?
Right.
We were teaching close to 25% of our student credit hours online already. And what might be surprising to many people is more than 70% of those hours were taken by students on campus. It's a convenience. They like it. It works with their schedule, their work schedules. Now, when a course goes online, we have an office here, TTU e-learning, that has oversight of the quality of those courses to make sure it meets certain standards. When we had to make this massive transition over spring break, things were different. This is more like remote learning, not truly what we mean by online, where you have a lot of pedagogical advice and insight into how these things are done. And so we have learned through this experience, and I think you'll see more courses developed as truly online experiences. And but here's the point. Here's one point I've tried to say many times, Matt. This has I think taught me and others, and I'm talking about students and faculty and parents, that a student doesn't choose a university. They choose a university because of certain cultural experiences. And at Texas Tech, the personal relationships are a big part of our culture. That's what distinguishes our graduates. They didn't sign up to go to Tech to have everything online.
Right, I agree.
And in spite of how we have adapted and the tremendous efforts of faculty and staff, it's not the same. And I hear that from students, I hear it from parents, I hear it from faculty. So that's one of the reasons that entered into our thinking as to why we have to get back to what people really sign up for, the full collegiate experience.
Okay, Dave, before you ask your question, we need to take a quick break, and we will be right back on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO with Dr. Schovanec, from the president of Texas Tech University. This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. We've got Dr. Schovanec on the phone right now. And Dr. Schovanec, I know Dave had a question, but I did, before we get too far, I wanted you to speak to how important it is that Texas Tech was ranked 9th nationally in workforce preparedness.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Matt. About a year ago, the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities contacted us to say that they had done a preliminary survey of corporate recruiters, and in this pilot study, we had come in 17th, and they said that they only surveyed companies in the eastern part of the United States, and that survey had been prepared by a university in the East. And so they then engaged a national company to do a nationwide survey, and they expanded the survey. They thought it would have less of an East Coast bias. And so in this final study that they did, we came in 9th among in the nation. Among the members of the Association of Public Land-Grant Universities, there's about 200. We came in 7th. We were first in the state of Texas. And if you looked at the list, like in the top 10, you see these incredible schools.
Yeah, you're talking Harvard, and you're talking elite, what they consider, I guess, elite schools.
Right. Now, this is something we've always said, that Texas Tech alumni and graduates, they have this grit, this West Texas work ethic, even though they come from all over the state. And we know that we prepare students who get the job done.
Yeah.
But we've been saying it, but when you have the results of this national survey, that's wonderful. And it couldn't have happened at a better time, because right now, with all the financial hardships that families are facing, and even the prior question about the worth of higher ed, we've always said that what Tech does best is return on investment. And I think this was wonderful news.
Yeah, Dr. Schovanec, I'm just, from my observation, there's been so much positive about Texas Tech. I do believe that Texas Tech is becoming the University of Texas, if you know what I mean.
Dave, I'm not
really
going to argue with you. Now, you will have other people who will say that there are a lot of great schools in Texas. And this is a challenge we face right now. We're planning for cuts from the state. We have to bear our part of this cost. But I think there's an opportunity not only for Texas Tech, but for all institutions of higher ed in the state of Texas right now. Yeah. I visited with presidents from other schools, and what I'm hearing, this is anecdotally, where they see a big drop in enrollment, it's those schools that have a large percentage of out-of-state enrollment. I think a lot of students will be reluctant, say, to go out of state and then just take online courses or a larger number of online courses. Now, in this state, we lose. And some of the last data I saw was like 20,000 students a year, high school students who go out of state. Where do they go? Arkansas, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Oklahoma. Now is a chance for us to send the message that the best value is here in Texas and keep those kids here. It's a brain drain issue. And so I would ask our legislators, we will do our part, but let's not emasculate higher ed at a time when we can really do something about creating a better workforce in this state.
So what are y'all preparing for as far as the...
Matt, let me ask one quick question. Dr. Schovanec, do you anticipate that enrollment will be down this fall because of the COVID situation?
Well, so I get reports all the time, and just earlier this week, Jamie Hansard, who's our vice president for enrollment management, shared this with me. For freshmen who have registered for Red Raider orientation for this year, we're up over 6% from a year ago. For students who are already enrolled and have re-enrolled, we're up a little over 5%. Now, I find that incredible, and I'm not saying it's going to hold. This is a dynamic situation. If there's a second surge, the points you raised earlier, Dave, about concern if people come in here and they come from hot spots. But right now, our numbers look very good. For summer enrollment, we're up. For summer one, even though it's all online. And we're planning for, we have plans for 2%, 5%, 10% cuts. We can deal with that if we can keep our student credit hour production relatively flat. But if we start to lose student credit hour, then the impacts of the cuts are going to be, start cutting into the bone.
And again, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Schovanec on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. We have Dr. Schovanec on the line. Dr. Schovanec, the one question we get more than anything else is what is football season going to look like? Do you have any ideas yet?
Man, I knew you were going to say that when you said it.
Well, you're getting asked the same thing, huh?
That's true. So we'll have a conference call on Monday. We have one every 2 weeks with all of the presidents of the Big 12. And what I would say is that this is a complicated decision because it's one of these decisions you can't make as an institution by yourself. You have to be aligned with the conference. The conferences have to be communicating with one another. We may decide that in Texas we want to be playing, but who knows what's going to happen, say, for the schools in California where we have away games and that sort of thing. On our last call, the commissioner said that we probably need to get to a point of a decision in, say, mid-July if we're going to start with the traditional start date. But everybody recognizes we have to have football for the health of our athletic programs. And so there's a number of options on the table. Do we play an abbreviated schedule? Do we start later, go into the spring? And all of that's being discussed. And I could just tell you, Matt, that right now we're not at a point of knowing exactly what we're going to do.
Okay.
Kirby and I visit about this a lot. This is a very important issue. I think it's also going to depend what the governor says about how many people can gather together. So
yeah.
we it's a big deal. We're not prepared. We don't know enough yet to say, but we'll stay in touch, and I'll let you know when we come to a point.
We only have about 30 seconds left. Any chance that maybe just instead of an away game in California, we do one in Texas? I don't know, like Texas A&M?
That hasn't been discussed. Actually, I heard from somebody yesterday whose children went to A&M. They seem to have an issue with us for some reason.
I don't know why. All right, Dr. Schovanec, thank you so much for coming on. A lot of very important information there with Texas Tech University. And we'll be right back with Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin right after these messages.